And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning. It is the 9th day of October 2021. It is the day when His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Arap Ruto, continues with his tour of the Nyanza region. He has been there since Friday through the weekend, and this is the 4th day. And today, several things have happened. Number one, the President, he signed into law the privatization bill that was a National Assembly Bill number 22 of 2023, and it is now known as the Privatization Act of 2023. This was at the Kisumu State Lodge this morning, and this bill originated from Cabinet and was sponsored by the leader of the majority party, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, and it was considered and passed by the National Assembly on the 14th of September. Yes, and the purpose of the bill basically is to revise the regulatory framework for the privatization of public entities with a view to improving the efficiency and competitiveness of Kenya's productive resources. And after that, the President chaired a cabinet meeting, and also later today, we expect His Excellency the President to be commissioning MV Uhuru 2. This is a shipping vessel that has been built by the Kenya Shipping Line Limited, and this is the second one. Remember, MV Uhuru 1 was successfully rehabilitated by the Kenya Defence Forces in 2019, and this is a second wagon ferry, MV Uhuru 2. The work started on the 2 years ago in May 2021, completed in 24 months, and normally such a vessel would take 36 months to build. So it has successfully undergone lake and harbour trials, and onboard systems have been commissioned. So His Excellency the President is going to be commissioning that, and later in the day he's going to be moving over to Siaya County, and this is to launch the Bondo Luanda Road in Bondo constituency. So that construction is going to be happening later this afternoon. That's just part of one news cycle. And also remember that there is the Africa Continental Qualifications Framework Conference that's happening in Nairobi. This is hosted primarily by the Ministry of Education. It's also the World Day Against the Death Penalty that's happening today. And the International Day of the Girl Child Program information is going to be launched today. So that is part of our news cycle as we continue keeping tabs on it. Now, time for us to move to a second conversation, and this conversation is about athletics, because yesterday in the streets of Chicago, Kelvin Kiptum broke the men's marathon world record at the 45th edition of the Chicago Marathon. He clocked 2 hours 35 seconds. He slashed 34 seconds from the previous world record. The women's race won by Sifan Hassan in a new course record, 2 hours 13 minutes 43, 13 minutes 34 seconds, and 2022 champion Ruth Chepngetich taking second place. 2 London Marathon winners winning in Chicago. Now, what's the big story around this? And to do this, we're joined by the publisher of athletics.co.ke, John Veslin, who joins us via Zoom. John, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Ahome. How are you?
I am very, very well. So, John, let's start with this, because we had about, 7 races yesterday. At times when you just take a look at how much space you'd have, it would be out. But Chicago was the big one. And what was the difference that you saw with Chicago from yesteryears and the race that we witnessed yesterday?
Thank you very much for having me on your program, Mahome. Yesterday, the message was very clear that it doesn't matter the course that you are using. You know, we are used to Berlin, a course where it's so flat that anyone can go there and break records. But from yesterday, what we are learning from Kiptum's phenomenal racing is that he defied the order of the day. He defied the dynamics of the course. He defined the terrains of the course. He defined the weather. He defined the systems that were put into place. He defined everything ever assembled in the racing history of any marathon in the world. And mind you know that this is the second time that a world record has been broken in this course. The first time was in 1999, and it was broken by Khalid Kanouchi from Morocco. So yesterday, it's a moment. It's huge for us. It's something that we will live to tell. This is a story that we're gonna tell, because nothing like this has ever happened in the world of marathon running.
Now let's talk about Kiptum's race, basically race history. We know he did quite a number of local races, at the half marathon and all of that. And but when he burst to the scene in December last year, he shocked everyone because of the time that he clocked, because that was quite fast on debut. Just a background of Kiptum before he went to Valencia last year.
I met Kiptum 4 years ago at what is it called, CAS half marathon, where he took the honors. And the terrains there, it's a hilly course. It's one of the toughest courses of if I may put it, in Kenya, it's one of the second toughest course after the Ndakaini course. But again, it's usually a course that when an athlete goes there and an athlete runs a sub of 62 or 63, that is amazing time, which means you can, when you go outside or you go somewhere that the terrain or the weather allows you to run good, you can run a sub 58 or 57. So I met him during that time when he was just 19 years. And what I saw from him, because I interviewed him, I remember interviewing him, and I asked him how he saw the course. He said it was just easy. You see, when people were really lamenting on how tough the course was, because it's a hilly course, but to him, he took it easy, and he said he's ready to come and conquer the one. And those are the ones that I heard yesterday again, because when he was asked after the race, how do you feel? Because when you look from the 35 mark, I thought now that this guy is going out to suffer. He's going to feel now the pain and the pinch of being hard on that course. But the guy took it easy. In fact, he had slowed, and you remember the first half. And this second half, he ran again a negative. And you remember again in London, I think we shared with you sometimes back when I was at your studios, he's a man of negatives. It's very difficult for any athlete. This man is defying the systems that have been put in place on the things that we are used to know, that you run the first half, you run a positive, the second half, you run a negative. But for him, he is defying everything in that order. He's changing how running is being. He's a man we need to look and study him. I think we need to study him more, especially for us people who are careful or who have a keen interest into matters of athletics. So this guy has been here on the ground. He has been, when I think after London, I met him and then we were just sharing, and he told me he has been in the system active running for 6 years. And last year, as you also know, is that he was nobody. He was an unknown person, but he came to Valencia and made a name for himself. And now 3 races in a row, he's a world record holder.
Well, the one thing that I would like to just to clarify, what John was saying is about the positive split and the negative split is where, look at the halfway point of a marathon. If you run the second half faster than the first one, it's known as the negative split. If you run the second half slower than the first half, it's known as a positive split. But just let's take a look at how his race execution was. Because from the gun, just 5 kilometers in, you could see that he had broken with Daniel Mateko and holding, trying to keep that pace. And whoever was given pacing duties, you could tell that they really had some tough job, because rather than stay ahead, they were almost running shoulder to shoulder.
These guys, these guys were on a mission. And I remember before Daniel Mateko left to go to the race, I had an interview. I had a sit down one-on-one at the airport for a 5 minutes interview, because he was late to get into the to board the plane. And he shocked me personally. He told me that, you wait, I'm going to shake the one. Expect unexpected in that race. And what I saw, the very first 5 kilometer, the 10 kilometer, the 15 and the 20, I saw wonders. I saw that this guy had refused. he was toe-to-toe with Kiptum. And I said, what a race this is gonna be. And in fact, I almost shared my link to some people here, telling them, guys, expect what I was telling you. But that was a killer pace. It totally destroyed this young man. I think he could have remained behind with the following group, or the group that was behind, which had Abdi Bashir. I think he overestimated himself, because if you look at the top 17, he's nowhere near to be seen. So he was totally destroyed, because the course has no mercy on anyone. The atmosphere again, it was a cold season. Because Wahome, just look at this. Look at what Sifan said after the race, because she was shivering, which means the weather wasn't even perfect for racing at that particular minute. Imagine if this young man can get a Berlin course.
Wow. Well, actually, there's a reason why they call Chicago the windy city, and he was able to beat the wind around, in Illinois and going through that. But let's also check out Benson Kipruto. He finished almost 3.5 minutes behind Kiptum, and you could see, he was almost, trying to cheer him on as he was still doing his celebrations. Kipruto, also a champion from last year, coming into this race. How would you describe his performance? And also that of John Korir, who finished also who finished 4th. And all of them, given the conditions and the way he executed that, was, basically no one would have kept up with him.
Yeah. When we look, Benson was the defending champion of this race. And this race, if you look at it, it had 3 former champions. People had taken over. And this one was Benson Kipruto, Garen Roop, and Seif Fatura. And when you look at their times, the finishing times, and then again, you're talking about John Korir. John Korir, he ran his race because he understood if he will, he didn't want to fall into the trap of going at the killer pace that this young man, Kelvin and Mateigo, he decided to go. So for him and Benson, they decided, can we do this? Let's run our race. If we're going to get these people in front, we will do that. And you remember Abdi Bashir's racing tactics. He's a man who knows how he runs. He controls his paces, and he knows his body. He understands his body. He doesn't force his body. And you can see how many people he came and passed. Because at the 35-kilometer mark, actually, Bashir was still number 7 behind. But you can imagine he came and he finished on the podium. So for me, what I'm seeing is this, that this race, many people decided to go or decided to follow what their body was talking to them. Because without that, you're going to be destroyed, because the pace was a killer pace that you could not withstand the heat of that pace. So for Benson, I think he decided, for me, let me run my race. Whatever number I'll finish, I will thank God. And that's where he was. He actually finished with this was the 2:04.2 was his fastest time, or the lifetime best, or people call it a personal best. Yeah. So he did well, according to me.
Well, and now let's talk about the women's race. Sifan Hassan.
Yes.
Yes. In the case of Sifan Hassan, we would say that was the race. The women's race was more of a positive split. At what point do you think Sifan just got the edge over Ruth Chepngetich, because they were neck and neck, such that even the two pacers now had to split duties? Eventually, Sifan Hassan winning 2 hours 13:44, the second fastest time ever by a woman over the distance. And actually, the second fastest time we've seen, and this is in just 2 weeks.
Yes. I think Sifan Hassan, again, she has started our racing tactics. And during the race, I was just thinking, what if we had Helen Obiri? Helen Obiri is the best medicine for this young girl, because for Sifan Hassan, because Helen understands Sifan better than anyone else. And they are just people who are coming off the track. And if you look at Chepngetich actually, last year she was the national 10 kilometer national champion.
Yes.
She has been doing, but she had she has been having a nagging injury that has really not been good on her end. And again, you remember she also joined the Kenya prison bandwagon, although they didn't load her the same way like the army did to Manangoi Junior George, because he went there with army. They don't care about athlete.
Actually, it is the service first.
Yes, it is. Yes, the country first. But with her, again, when she went there, people even went for training. They were set aside. Him and Keter, you remember the young Keter, they were put aside so that they can continue training. But Chepngetich has been having a nagging injury. I pray that it will come through, because I think she has ended the season with this race, and we are going to the cross country for speed works where people are going to come. So for me, the Sifan has come far. She's a legend in her own game. She is one of the finest women that we can have a history to fall back on. You know, Sifan is in the same history books as Eliud Kipchoge. They have a huge history that you can sit down and talk about them and analyze them. In regard again to Kevin Kiptum, who is just a 6-year person, and internationally, people have never known him. They have just known Kiptum after Valencia, which is a year ago. But for us, for somebody like me who has known Kiptum for the last 4 years, I have something that I can tell people that, you, look here, this man had talent. I saw the talent when he was at 19 years in Eldoret. You see, so for Hassan, she has studied our game, and she knew she understood what can I call? She understood her game during yesterday's. She knew, if I maintain or if I force myself out of what I plan to do or purpose to do, I will fall apart. And you remember again at almost 30K when the Pacers saw Ruth was falling back, they had again to talk and say, okay, you listen, go try to pull the other person so that again he or she can follow, can be able to follow. But I think this team had really gotten out of hand for Ruth Chepngetich, which allowed Sifan Hassan to almost beat her by 2 minutes. Well, actually, it's 2 minutes. Yes. More than 2 minutes. Yeah.
Actually, it was just over 2 minutes because for Ruth Chepngetich, I remember her speaking at the Elite Women's press conference, and she did mention, together with Kipruto. Kipruto was going for a PB. Ruth said, can I go for a PB? I can try go for it, and knowing where she's coming from. But the story about Sifan Hassan is, won London, went back to the track, 3 events, the 1500, the 5000, and the 10,000. Then comes back to this, and she doesn't seem to stop at breaking records, especially the European records now. What makes Sifan tick? Because everyone is just baffled, because we've seen her medal in those on the track in the 15, 5, and 10.
Sorry, come back.
All right. Now, we're saying what makes, we're talking about Sifan Hassan. Just taking a look at her season. Won in London. Went down to Budapest, competed in 3 events, the 10,000 meters, the 5,000 meters, and the 1,500 meters. Then we see her come back. Just what makes her tick? How versatile, because it's rare to see such a versatile athlete.
I think, Kwahome, it all dawns again to speed work. I think these people are doing a sort of a speed work to them. For Sifan, going back to the track, you'll find most of our athletes every Thursday or Tuesday, most of our Kenyan athletes, they go for speed work. Speed work is about now getting to the track, because track is a little bit faster and it's a little bit softer, not the hard surface that they are used to. So when you combine the two, it fine-tunes you. And you see, especially for Sifan, she has a finishing peak. That's the person that you cannot allow her to move closer to 2 kilometers. The final pace, she will kill you because she has that in her legs. And the reason why I was bringing in Helen Obiri is Helen has that capacity to handle her. Helen understands the game. She knows, if I can sustain that pace from the 35 kilometer to 38 kilometer, I know I'm going to finish this person. So for me, for Sifan being on the track and then coming back, She was just leveraging. You see, like the way Paris did. Paris, she's heading to New York, right?
Yes.
And she just went to defend her title in Riga. It's a speed work for us because that one doesn't consume her. You remember these people, they go 38 kilometers every Thursday. Speed work or long runs, they call them long runs. Some people go on Thursday, some on Tuesday, but the most majority of Kenyan athletes, they go on Thursdays because they have built up from Mondays and build up to Thursday. Then Friday it's a relaxing day, just doing speed work. Then they see themselves off to go and check on their family or relax or let the body rest to recover for coming Monday. So for me, see the people under people on track, you see statistically, people have said after Alberto getting out of picture, after these people pulling away from him, and you saw again, we are also talking about the Mo Farah effect. You see, Mo Farah, the moment he stepped out of management of Oregon Project and Alberto Salza, things didn't go the same way it was. But we have seen again from Stefan Ango that the moment she stepped out of that camp or out of that project, we have seen her improving. So I think for me, it is about how she has carried herself, how her training has been going, and the issue of not changing coaches, because when you change coaches, you are prone to injuries, and that might take a lot of time. Here I'm bringing in a Thing Moon. You remember when he changed the coach, the effect that has affected her performance even during this year, it was below as of far. She was thinking of not going to one championship, but she had to be forced to go there. So for me, it's all about preparation and the state of mind that Sifan had yesterday. She did wonderful. She did fantastic. And I really congratulate her for that.
Now, away from that, just a few races I'd like to mention. One was the Munich Marathon. And this was one of the, I think, 7 or 8 marathons that we had.
Especially for the ladies, the first 2 ladies. That I'm talking about, Catherine
Cherotich and Tekla Chebet.
It was messy, I tell you. You know, with running, the body or the mechanism or the mechanics of the body, when an athlete reaches a distance of around from 30 kilometers, going all the way to 42 kilometers, the body, she's not herself or himself at that particular time. It's just that the mind is there, but the body is just running or just going by itself. Ni kama mteremko. Vile sisi usema gari inaenda free on mteremko. You are like on a free mode. So anything, if for instance, if any person passes in front or causes distraction of an athlete, like for Munich yesterday, what happened is this, that there was a construction site, then the lead car took a wrong turn, and then they had again to be deducted on that time, which even according to myself, I doubt if these people really ran the 42 kilometers that's supposed to be ran. I think they overran because they had to do 2 laps of honor in the stadium, the 2 athletes. They had to go rotate so that they could complete the 42 kilometers. I'm wondering if it was measured or if that distance was measured to put it, because it's something that happened in the course of the race. It was shameful for such a big race that is 37 years and going. It is a disgraceful, if I may say so.
Okay. Well, the case of Bernard Muya and Benson Nzioki.
Wonderful, wonderful. Bernard did wonders. Unexpected. He beat experienced people. He beat Matolo. Cosmas Matolo was there. He beat them. I'm telling you, I did not expect Muya to win this race because he was an inexperienced. But one thing, Wahome, you and me, I think we agree on is that these people who make debuts, they are the most dangerous individuals. You look at who is this, the half marathon women record holder, the Ethiopian lady. Look at her when she made a debut. Look at Almaz when she made a debut. Look at Sifan when she made the debut. Look at Obir when she made the debut. These are the dangerous people to ever race with. Don't spare them. I think what happened with Kiptum, he Even if I let this guy pace alongside me, he gonna show me dust. He destroyed that character completely. They are dangerous individual, and that is Muya where I'm seeing it.
Okay, well, the road running season continues, and the other one marathon that a lot of Kenyans keep taking a look at is Amsterdam. That's coming up on Sunday.
Yes.
And
yes.
Just take a look at the field. Birhanu Legese, we've got Bernard Koech, is a 204 runner. Joshua Belet, Lemmy Berhanu. You can see that the names who are there. We've got Cyprian Kotut and Bernard Kipiego. Just give an outlook of the men's race as expected on Sunday in Amsterdam.
For me, I'll put my name on Kotut because Kotut is a man of wonders. You know, you remember in Hamburg, he went and destroyed, was it last year but one, he went and destroyed Eliud Kipchoge's course record that had stayed there for around 7 years. Actually, it is 7 years. He went and destroyed that record. He's a man of surprises, and I bet him is going to take over. He's going to take that title. And I know many people, again, we are looking at debuts. That's the fear where we are. I see the performance on men. I will bet my knee on Cyprian. He might cause surprises in that race.
Why would you be looking at Cyprian? Because, I mean, looking at Cyprian Kotut, honestly, he's already done, he's run under 2 hours 5. So he's now going to a second-tier marathon. What kind of challenge would he offer? Because Birhanu Legese is the fastest on paper, 2:02:48.
But Legese, look at the time he ran. And Birhanu, again, look at the consistency of the race. If we look at Legese's races this time, he has not been that constant as he used to be. For that's why I'm looking at the consistency. You see somebody like Kiptum, somebody like again Eliud. We see the consistency. When you look at Sifan Hassan, we see the consistency. Every time they come, there's a performance they are doing. Every time they come, they're improving on their past, from their past. I think it's a learning process. But from what I'm seeing, you see like Eliud Kipchoge last race here in Berlin. You can imagine if Kiptum was there, Eliud could not be there. Eliud could not be seen. History could not have been written. So for me, I see that you saw again the second half. Instead of he was running like going backwards, because the second leading team was actually after him, and it's just a pity that they didn't know that they was too close to him, and so they decided to run their race just to finish the race in the capacity that they were able to. But you see, consistency and performance dictates, because for me, if I want to get somebody like now Kiptum, my reasoning is now next season I know Kiptum definitely is going to Berlin course, because right now he has told those Berlin organizers that we don't need Berlin course. We need Chicago. We need New York. We can.
Why would anyone forget Berlin
in any course?
Why would anyone forget Berlin?
It's a flat. It's a flat course. We don't refuse. That's why I'm talking about. If this man goes there. If Kiptum goes there, then this man is going to run under 2 hours. He will be the first man. Actually, he's going to be. He will echo his name in history books as the only person who has gone under the 2:01 mark and under the 2 hour mark, because this is going to happen. Because right now he's a premium athlete. Premium athletes, they only race twice, maximum of 3 times. But most of these people, like him now, the category that he's placed, he'll only race twice. Tomorrow he will go to race at Berlin, and maybe he'll go somewhere else or New York. You never know.
All right. Now, let's talk about the women's race in Amsterdam also. Looking at the fields, the top 3 Ethiopians, Ashete Bekere, we've seen what Ashete Bekere can do. Degitwa Zemarau is another strong athlete. Stiruye Mesfin, all have run in under 2 hours 19. But the key names from Kenya I want to look at. 1, Dorcas Tuitoek. Marion Kibor, and Lynette Masai. What kind of challenge would they offer to the Ethiopian contingent that has been offered, that has been presented in Amsterdam for Sunday's race?
Maybe just before I rush there, I want just to mention something about, again, Legacy. If you look at the previous 2 or 3 races that Legacy has raced, he has raced in Valencia. He finished in 2020. He finished 3rd on 2:03. In 2021, he finished at London Marathon 5th on 2:06. And then in 2022, which is last year, same London Marathon, he finished the same time, 2:06.11. Actually, he is going back. So that is why I was telling you, my brother, is that the consistency is not there. It's as if he's edging or going behind. Back to the women. I can tell you for sure, the women, or our package, the Kenyan package, for them even to appear on the podium will be a surprise. Ethiopians are going to rule come next Sunday. In fact, they might take the whole position 1, 2, 3.
Wow, you're not going to make friends with a lot of Kenyans, but Sunday is what we shall find out. Now, let's talk about the Toronto Marathon later that evening. And Elvis Cheboy is one of the names who's been entered. And, working with his coach, Nicola Gabriele, how much do you expect, for him to push in this race that's taking place in Canada on Sunday evening?
Toronto has been generally a hard course race, because if you look at Mr. Toronto, that is Philemon Rono, he won last weekend a race. If you look at their timing, you will find that it is a 2:05 race. Nobody has gone, because he's still the course. No, he's still the course record holder there, and nobody has gone to 2:04, which means the course is still a little bit a challenge to many. But again, we usually look at the field or the capability of the athletes, and then on the same sideline again, we are looking at the management of these athletes, because athletes again, they are looking at the appearance fee, because most of these athletes, they don't look at the prize money. Prize money to most athletes is just peanuts. Prize money is those for people who are just coming up or starting up. Those are the people who concentrate on the prize money. But if you look at this elite, the top 10 athletes, if they come into a race, right now we are looking at Kiptum, we are looking at Abdi Bashirs, we are looking at Korir, we are looking at Benson. These are now the top athletes right now at the moment. If you call such athletes, you'll find the appearance is too high. Your appearance is between 10 million to around 55 million, depending on the category of where you fall. So when you look at the Toronto, it will not bring that the usual hula baloo, because I'm telling you, Amsterdam will overtake Toronto in place of in regard to publicity and the whole setup of the race, because Toronto Waterfront hasn't brought itself up to the game as much as it had been there for many years. Yeah.
Well, it's always what we call has always been known as maybe a silver label athlete, and it brings other athletes to the front. Now, let's look at Sharon Kimboi. She's going to be running in the women's race. She's not that known, but she's got some great, background that comes with Japan. And she also trains with Antonina Kwambai. And Kwambai won Toronto last year, 2:23.20. Quite a good time for a tier 2 race. So what would she bring in, knowing the kind of support she's getting from Kwambai as they head into the races on Sunday?
You're talking about Sharon Kiprotich, right?
Yes. Sharon Kimboi.
Yeah. Sharon, and they train together with Kwambai, and Kwambai is a veteran, as we all know. Although also age is catching up with her if you do follow up, because her performances of late has not been that encouraging on consistent. And then I think she was also on maternity leave. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think her performance has not picked up as per se. But again, as I was saying, people who debut, they are the most dangerous because you don't know when they will hit, you don't know when they will attack, you don't know the energy level that it's in their body. You are competing against somebody that you have no history, or you have never seen him or her competing, unless the person has been competing in half marathon. And these people who compete in half marathon, it's about the energy they have been reserving. Because when somebody competes half marathon specialty, remember that same person still goes for a long run of 38 kilometers. The same way I was talking about, if you look at the history of Faith Kiprotich, as much as he's on the track, Faith Kiprotich does long runs of 10K with people, with men. He does long runs of 10K to 21K. Then she comes back. She goes back to the field. So it's about endurance, building the endurance, the capacity to endure the hard course or the torturous course. So for me, I have nothing really to talk about, much to talk about Sharon Kiprotich as of now, because my expectation is the Ethiopians at the moment, they are taking us for a ride.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that next Sunday we will have a different conversation, depending on what you say. I think the other one is, and this is the one race that I think it's Africa's premier marathon as far as world athletics is concerned, is the Cape Town Marathon and the opportunities that come with it for Africans running on the continent. What's your take on this event down south?
Cape Town Marathon?
Yes.
Yeah, Cape Town has nurtured a lot of our athletes. Their courses, Cape Town. Let me tell you something funny about these South Africans. South Africans, they do a lot of endurance races. These are people who have been built to run 25, 35, 42, 50, 75, and 100-kilometer races. So they are tough. These are tough courses in South Africa. And when you go to South Africa, especially for this, especially for a race like Cape Town Marathon, it's building you to endure, because the course, as much as it's not that tough course as of Chicago or Boston, but the courses out there, they are really tough. Especially for them, it's tougher than here in Kenya, the courses that we train or we run against. Because now Kenyan, how many races do we have actually for now? Because economically, people are pulling out, sponsors are pulling out of most races. Now the only viable race that an athlete can try and run is the Standard Chartered Marathon that is about to happen. So most of our athletes now, especially for those who again had trained to race at last weekend's the Lawrence City Marathon, they had to pull out now. They don't know what they will do. Because, with a race, it's about program yourself, how you program your body on when it's going to start racing, on when it's going to face the total race course, on when you're going to now decide to rest, or how you plan. But the moment a race stands on, it usually distorts your plans. You go to zero again. So Cape Town, it's a good race and it's a well-paying race. And I know most Kenyans, again, for us, we are going to take the honors there.
And we're also seeing that we're building up to, it's October. It's also the time when we build up to, the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon. Always a big event when it comes to this.
Yes.
For this event and what the organizers have planned to make sure that, it's competitive right at the top level. What is your just outlook at the past, couple of events and where you see, because we've seen athletes come through this event and break to higher levels. Just take us through that.
Yeah. One thing I hope the organizers of Nairobi Standard Chartered Marathon are listening to me right now. I have covered this race for the last 9 years.
Wow.
And 9 years, Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon. And this race, I think, as of now, it needs to be a label race. But as of now, you and me, we know even a bronze has not been leveled in anywhere. We have not been certified by World Athletics.
Actually, John, it's not even John, it's not about the label, but for the athletes.
I'm coming into it.
All right, yeah, which is what I'm saying. It's not about the label, because that takes a longer process, but it is about for the local athletes, especially when it comes to the half marathon and the full marathon. This is the one event that is easy for them to enter.
I was just building up towards that, Wahome, if you allow me to. I'm talking about the organization of this race. It's usually messy. I'm looking at the start. You see, last year, Wahome, around 8 elite athletes got injured. These are people who have come trained for months to come and participate in this race. But when you come at the start lineup and then you are stepped on or trampled on, then it literally destroys your what can I say? Okay. Your plans and everything. What am I saying is this: athletes have prepared, and mark you, this year it's going to have a huge volume of athletes. This race this year,
yes,
the 10K, the 21, and the 42 kilometer. The volume of athletes will be overwhelming because there has been no race in Kenya. So everyone and everybody, again, Wahome, you see, such a race like Stanchart Nairobi Marathon, again, for those who are coming in or getting into the to the world of running, and for those who have been training to have a place in the map of running or to be recognized, use such races. So it's a huge race that is going to be of importance to many upcoming and even those who have already established themselves. So I'm hoping for a better race, but I hope that this time round, the start and the finishing will be properly handled so that we can have the right winners. You remember last year, Rita Chepto found me at the podium. She was number 3, but according to them, somebody else was number 3.
I think that, John, I can tell you, has been addressed on this table previously. I know that was addressed by the race directors, so at least I know that has been addressed. It was, I know also some time back there was the case of Njogu, the person who decided, and I think you also know that has been advised. But also, the other one that, we'll be building up to very soon is 2 events. New York, 2 events. New York, that's one to look out for, and then Valencia. Just looking at those 2 events.
Oh, New York, we are having Paris days. She's going there.
Yes.
And Paris, she's in top of her form. And to me, it's already home.
1 month from now. You can't be that confident. Looks like there's a freeze in the feed that is coming in. It's just the outlook for athletics, knowing very well that last night, Kelvin Kiptum, he broke the men's world record in a marathon. 2 hours, 0:35. So, and 34 seconds was flashed.
I hope you are getting me. My hope and prayer is this, that when New York comes, that day, at her fitness level will be good, and I know she'll carry the day.
All right. Yes, that is John Vaslin here. Before he broke, he was speaking about Paris Jepchirchir, who's going to be making a return, be running in New York. She's a 3-time world half marathon champion now. One of the, how many do I count now? I think 4 women who've done a 3-peat of that: Tegla Rupe, Edna Kiplagat, and Paula Radcliffe. The other one that everyone will have their eyes on, John, as we come to a close, is the Valencia Marathon in Spain. This is where Kelvin Kiptum made his name. This is where we are seeing times that are fast, quite fast, for even such a young a marathon which has been elevated to platinum level, and it's one of the young platinum level marathons, but they say we want to be the fastest, be it the half or the full marathon. What kind of field would you be expecting? What's your intel on this?
Valencia is one of the places that history has been written. And you remember Joyce Lynn? She came to be known there. And you remember that race? She broke 4 world records. 4 world records, Joyce Lynn. So Valencia is a course that has rich history. And I pray, as you have just been saying, it to be because it's a race that you cannot now categorize it. It's a platinum race at the moment. You have just mentioned it. We don't need to say a gold level. No, this is a platinum race because the course has been bringing in records year in, year out. This is a record that is broken in Valencia. And expect more records even this year. Expect more records to be broken. Kiptum did wonders there. I remember also this guy who was, I think he was banned. The tall guy, Wahome, you know him. This tall guy, what was his name? He ran one of the fastest time in the world again. Ikuru Titus, yes, Titus. I'm talking about Titus. Those are people who are made. They were manufactured from there. So this year, I know we still have products that are going to come out, and the name of Valencia will again be on the global map this time round.
Well, very interesting you use the term manufacture, but just taking a look at it, it's a Mediterranean level marathon. But you meant, so overall, just to mention, about New York, because that was slightly interrupted. We've seen, you mentioned that Paris Chepchirchir, and you believe that she's going to take it, just as we wrap.
Yes.
Just recap that.
Oh, Paris has 2 young people. And I remember I told her husband, Mr. Ngeno, I told him if he's not careful with these 2 young men, they will finish the wife. Yeah, now it's the wife. Because when you sit down with these 2, these are 2 pacers. They pace her every day. They run with her. They stay with. These are people who have become a family to Paris, and they are paid on daily basis depending on how the contract or the agreement between them. When you sit down with these 2 young people, they are 2 young men, and you hear what their plan or what they are talking about or how they are going to take her through the paces. These people, they are in for business. That when they hit that muddy road, when they hit that course, they have nothing else apart from doing and exposing every weakness in Paris body, because these people, they torture her. Paris goes through a lot of torture before you see her on the podium outside there. These people, they are torturers. They are using her. They are saying we want to get the best out of her.
No pain,
for her,
no gain. No pain,
that is
no
the
gain.
Thing. No, true, very true, very true, very true. So and I had a word with them. They are saying, and they assured me. That's why I'm telling you without blinking my eyes, that this thing, New York is home. Paris will be landing with the trophy back in Kapsabet.
Okay, so we shall be looking for that, and that's in a month's time. Thank you very much, John, for being with us for the past, just about 40 or so minutes. And let's look for the road running season that, started late September and is going to run into early December, culminating with what is the first Valencia Marathon before we get on to cross-country and other events. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me, Mr. Home.
Well, then that's Sports Check for today, where we've been talking about the African 8-Ball Pool Championships, and later, and also speaking about athletics. Time for me to take a break, and remember that one of the events that we are going to be covering today is the commissioning of MV Uhuru 2, which is a good ferry vessel that is going to be commissioned by His Excellency the President, Dr. William Ruto, and this is at the Kisumu Shipyard. Thank you for being with us. Have a good day. Coming up next is our Swahili News program Kurunzi Mashinani, followed by the interview program Tamrini. Have a good day. I am Daniel Wahome.